Hello everyone, we are Tania Caris, Valeria Palma, and Valentina Valencia, and today we are going to present our outline project about sexist education in Chile. Nowadays, it is a relevant topic because it has a direct impact on how our society works, and we can see it reflect in different aspects that we are going to analyze during the presentation. Firstly, it is necessary to define those main concepts that allow us to understand some social demands as non-sexist education in Chilean schools. We have two central keywords that we look up the definition in the Cambridge Dictionary. Once we recognize those keywords, we will be able to analyze how those concepts affect education as an institution. Those are sexism and feminism. First of all, sexism is the belief that the members of one sex are less intelligent, able, skillful, etc. than the member of the other sex, especially that women are less able than men. Also, we have feminism, that people use to confuse the definition. But feminism is the belief that women should be allowed the same rights, power, and opportunities as men and be treated in the same way or the set of activities intended to achieve this state. On the other hand, we also mention the concept stereotype. Therefore, it is important to clarify its meaning in order to understand the further analysis. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a stereotype is a set idea that people have about what someone or something is like, especially an idea that is wrong. In this analysis, we will focus our attention on gender stereotypes.
Our outline project is divided into two parts. The first one is about the motivation about why this gap seems relevant for us. This refers to what is make us choose this topic in education Chilean system. As we know, there are a number of characteristics that can be analyzed to understand some of the outcomes the sexual gap have for the society. The second one, we are going to suggest an improvement plan. This is to explain the stages that our proposal need to have as a solution for the educational gap we have recognized. After the aforementioned points, we are going to briefly conclude our main points through the presentation to understand the role of the teacher activism in this project. This is for having a better idea about the whole points we have mentioned.
We based our investigation for this project on the sexism that is present in schools here in Chile. And we know that there are many issues regarding this, but we decided to choose only 3 of them. And these ones are, well, first the inclusive language, then we have the gender stereotypes, and finally we are going to talk about the role of feminism.
Inclusive language is one of the motivations to start to analyze the sexual education in Chile. It was how the language can affect students to find their identity. The academic Ana Luisa Muñoz from Universidad de Chile states that why is the inclusive language important? Because through language, people recognize one another. In such a way, it is possible to understand that language is an important element to consider when we talk about inclusion related to sexism in the school. Due to this aspect, define how the student can feel identify themselves. However, it is common that inside the classroom the teachers tend to use the masculine pronoun for the whole class, including girls and boys. This is also evident in some words like azafata in Spanish, which is related to a woman role within a specific job. This is commonly done by a female gender. I don't think that there exists a masculine word that is similar, like azafato. It doesn't exist. However, it seems for us that it's relevant that educators become aware of this gender gap with the language because it has a repercussion in the student's identity.
During time, society had built different models that we have to follow. Those models allow us to recognize our role in society. Here is where stereotypes start to play a crucial role in the development of our society. Maybe the first stereotype that we all face in our life is about our gender. The community around us tell us how to behave depending on whether you are a man or a woman. Nevertheless, schools as institutions maintain and reproduce those stereotypes. Perhaps the most common discrimination between boys and girls at school are the uniform that they wear. However, this discussion is deeper. Firstly, what does it mean to be a girl or a boy? The difference is evident, but we have normalized it over time. Based on a study from Banco Interamericano del Desarrollo in 2013, textbooks from the Ministry of Education show women in home-oriented activities and show men in leading roles. That is why we identify the following stereotypes that are present in Chilean classrooms. Girls are supposed to be not aggressive, dependent, emotional, home-oriented, and verbal. And boys should be aggressive, independent, logical, worldly, and analytical. Gender stereotypes have a great impact on a student's future decision. When the educational system reinforces the idea that women are for one area and men for another, students unconsciously will choose a degree that develops that area. For example, women have to help people because they are more emotional. Therefore, they study to be a teacher. On the other hand, men are logical and worldly, so they study to be engineer. According to the website mifuturo.cl, in 2018, 85% of people that studied to be a teacher were women, and 93% of people that studied to be an engineer were men.
Our final motivation is the role of feminism inside the classroom. And we think that this is important because it's there in the classroom where students learn some norms and values that they are going to reproduce in their future and in their daily lives. And thanks to the curriculum that we have now, we still reproducing some patriarchy norms, like for example the uniforms that students wear, and also the role that girls and boys have inside the school, like, or the ones that the textbooks portrayed, as we already mentioned. And we think that is important, the feminism inside there, because thanks to the feminism we can realize that these things are actually issues, because we can't still reproducing this as normal things. We need to be aware that these issues can continue to happen. And as Munoz said, feminism has thought how to end sexism, sexual exploitation, and all kinds of oppression. Now we have our improvement plan, which is divided into 3 stages. First, we have the English language. then the curriculum, and finally the teacher's training. The first one is the English language, and we see this in class level because we know that English is more inclusive than Spanish, because in English we can say they, and in this they there are both genders included. And when we need to talk about a single person like she or he, we can also use it when some students cannot identify with she or he. So by using the English language, we can include more our students, and we avoid discrimination and segregation inside the classroom. So yes. Then we have the curriculum, that we think that is important because the curriculum tells the teachers how, when, and what students learn. And we think that we need to change this curriculum, the whole curriculum. We need to change the expectations, the topics, the content, and everything inside this in order to create this not sexist education. In order to do this, we know that it's harder to do it now because it's not something that we can do. But we think that to do this, it is necessary to use other sources and also to include more women when these changes happen, because including more women and obviously still having men there, we can have more discussions, and we can create as a whole community what students need right now in the schools. Our final stage in this improvement plan is the teachers training, and we consider this important because it's in this training where the future teachers learn how to act, how to behave, and also they acquire all the knowledge for the future when they have to do the real classes. So we consider that in this training the teachers need to have more courses, or maybe some topics inside the courses that they already have that include this the inclusive language or the knowledge, in order to have these non-sexist classes in the future. So as I said, in this training is where the teachers are formed and in which they need to know everything to have these more inclusive classes in their future.
As was previously shown in the improvement plan, the actions that can contribute to a change in this sexist gap is the use of a gender-inclusive language. In the case, it was proposed the use of English language as a way to understand how the language can be considered inclusive, making teachers and students aware of this fact. Also, we take into account the curriculum that has stereotypes defined in its purposes. One example of this is the stereotypes defined in the textbook of students, which show clearly what is expected of a girl or a man. And finally, the teachers' training that make us aware they need to have the tools and knowledge to understand how to deal with a sexist education to make it a non-sexist one. In all, on the one hand, we have recognized that the teacher is an agent of change inside the classroom. This means that the teacher can make a change not only when they are in strike, as is commonly when we see the activism, but also by the teacher's practices directly with the students when they are teaching. On the other hand, we can review that schools are social institutions where students learn to become citizens. That is why education is the base of sexism. This means that the teachers are transmitting their students how to reproduce a system of gender inequalities. Therefore, it seems to be a great point to think how to change this injustice in society where it is duplicated. Then we have the reference that we used, and thanks for watching this video.